Okay, so I am going to go ahead and get started. We are recording. Now that we've got more people on board, I just want to say a big welcome to everybody and thank you to Rick for giving us your time today.
Welcome.
I'm Lily Norton, and today we're going to be talking about Loggerhead Fitness's SMS strategy and how they use texting to connect their whole community. And then we will get into the tools and tips you can use to do the same in your business. Before we really get into the meat of things, I want to encourage everybody to put any questions you have throughout the talk in the chat. We will be sending out a sort of Q&A document following the webinar, along with the recording and slides. So you'll have all of those questions and answers following the presentation. So yeah, let's get started. If my my PowerPoint will work, that is. Oh, there we go. As I said before, I'm Lily Norton. I'm a copywriter at Simpletexting, and joining us today is Rick Opton, owner of Loggerhead Fitness. We will go into a little more detail about Rick and the Loggerhead story shortly. Now, though, I'll give you all the quick rundown on what we're going to go over today. We are going to talk through the state of the marketing world at the moment and how to reach an audience that increasingly seems unreachable. And then we'll get into how Loggerhead uses texting with their customers and prospects, as well as how they structure their account to support that. And finally, I will let you all in on the simple texting features and strategies that will help you take your texting to the next level. The goal here today is really just to show you an excellent example of how SMS works in the real world to inspire you as you strategize and experiment and innovate with text marketing yourself, whether you're a beginner or an expert. All levels welcome here today. As many of you are probably aware, we're facing a crossroads in the marketing sphere. Currently, 42.7% of people online use an ad blocker. I'm sure many of you yourselves can relate. Which means that banner and display ads are becoming less and less effective. Likewise, 75% of emails will never be read, which is bad news for anyone who relies on email as their only or their primary marketing channel. And social media ads are also losing momentum, with 74% of people reporting being tired of seeing them. Add to all of those statistics the fact that Google is pretty much doing away with third-party cookies. That means that building your own engaged audience is the only way to ensure you reach the right people at the right time through things like emails and phone numbers. That is a lot of pieces of information, but really all of those things highlight one fact. Your audience is the most reachable through their phones, especially if they voluntarily sign up to receive your messages, which is sort of one of the beauties of SMS. Now, obviously, we love SMS, but why do small and medium-sized businesses choose text marketing for themselves? As you can see, texts get read more often, they get opened faster, and they convert at higher rates than other marketing channels. Not to mention, with 54% of consumers asking for text and only 11% of businesses sending them, marketing through SMS gives you plenty of demand and a lack of supply from the rest of the business world, which is something I think you're probably going to want to take advantage of. So that's the overview of why we're focusing on text message marketing in the first place today. But now I want to introduce you formally to Rick Opton. Rick is the owner at Loggerhead Fitness and a longtime marketer himself. So Rick, will you tell us a little more about your background and also Loggerhead?
Absolutely. So I'm the owner of a small boutique fitness center in South Florida. We're about 9,000 square feet, and I've been owner here since June of 2005, which is going to be 17 years this June. I am a baby boomer. I'm almost 60 years old. I grew up in the 80s and the 90s. I'm a gym rat. I started selling software to health clubs when I got out of school. Did that for about 6 years, out of college, I should say, in my 20s. So I got a good taste of the whole health club industry from the software side of things. But I've always been intrigued about physical fitness and working in this kind of club environment. And what finally happened about 17 years ago was the opportunity for me to buy this gym, and I bought it. And so now I'm a small business owner. I guess you could say an entrepreneur. And I do have a broad experience selling software and technology over the last 30 years. And most recently, I ran a digital marketing agency. Mostly our subject matter expertise was email marketing, but then it quickly led into everything, full service marketing from doing website build outs, SEO, pay-per-click. And so I was involved in an agency for about 4 years. And then I finally left that agency and started working full-time for the gym. So I bought the gym initially, didn't work full-time for it. It was kind of a side business. But then eventually we expanded it, grew it, and I left completely all my other jobs, and now I do this full-time. But what's great is I have this background already for digital marketing that's really helped me market the gym. And that's where kind of texting kind of comes into play.
Excellent. Yeah, that's really good context. I know we were really happy to have someone with lots of experience in marketing to bring to the table to talk about texting. And as for why you all chose texting in the first place, I understand you were mostly looking for a communication channel that sort of cuts through the noise that consumers get every day. Can you talk a little bit more about why you adopted texting and simple texting as well?
Sure, absolutely. The problem you have as a small business is where are you going to spend your money to advertise? How do you get people who are not your current members necessarily to find you? So there's that issue. But of course, there's the issue of your current members, especially if you're health club. How do you get your current members to learn more about the other products and services that you have? So we needed basic communication channels, and we need inexpensive communication channels. Since I was an email marketer, I always loved email, and I'm really good at sending out emails to people and collecting email addresses. We have a huge email list. It's about 6,000 names. But the problem you have with email is that what's a high open rate for a really good email? 25, 30%? That's not good enough, especially if you're trying to reach your own constituency to tell them about something that's going on in your own business. So when you start looking at all the channels of communication, you've got to start saying, okay, what's going to get me through to people fastest and going to get them to take some action, do something. And so texting really becomes very powerful. Obviously, if you've been following kind of the whole digital marketing world, things started out with email and then went to texting. And now by age demographic, we see that anyone who's basically under the age of 40 is texting on a very, very regular basis. And maybe it's only the very, the octogenarians, the 80, 90-year-olds, 70, 80, 90, they might not be working with texting or email quite as much. But we're seeing now, at least I've been seeing way more people looking at their text inbox more than their email inbox. So we knew we had to start texting people. That's when we did our research, due diligence, and decided that we would work with Simpletexting because of the flexibility that the platform offered. We see texting as our main source of communication right now in terms of getting people to learn about what we're doing here at the gym.
Definitely. No, I love hearing the thought process and hearing the stories of how people wound up at Simpletexting and what text marketing has meant to them. In terms of priorities, as far as texting goes, I know you've told me that your team really needed a tool that supported both mass messaging and personalized one-on-one interactions, both of those being really important, as well as a way to segment messages so that members only get texts that they're going to be interested in personally. And so I want to get into detail about some of those tools. I know that the Loggerhead team uses two numbers on the account, one toll-free number for mass texting and a local number for personalized customer interactions and support. Rick, can you speak to the advantages of having multiple numbers on the account? Does it help to keep things more organized? What's been your experience there?
Absolutely. I should add that a couple slides ago, you showed the statistic of how often, what percentage of texts get read within 30 seconds. And it's very high, right? We all agree it's probably 95, 98%.
Yes.
That is true. And that is very important. We thought that when you receive a text from an 855 number or an 888 number or some number that you've never seen before, you react the same way I think everyone does when they get a caller ID that they don't recognize. Even if it's a text number, they may not go to it right away. They may not read it. Our switchboard number has been the same for 17 years. People are used to it, 561-625-3011. They see that hit on their phone. They may have even dialed that phone number already, and it's maybe programmed as a caller ID in their phone. So when we send a text out from our primary switchboard number, which we can with your platform, we are getting higher open rates. More people are going to see that number, recognize it, and open it. So it's a very powerful thing, in my opinion, to be able to use your primary switchboard number as a texting tool. Now, the way the platform works is you can't do mass texting. You can't do a bulk, huge 1,000, 2,000 texts. Or I'm sorry, what you can't do is you can't do a campaign where you set up a campaign and schedule it to go out through a primary number. It has to be done through the bulk texting number, which in this case is the secondary number. So we use both. There are times when we do mass marketing and we want to send out a big text and we use the primary number. And then there's other times where we need to maybe deal with a smaller segment of our members or perhaps just one-on-one. And that's when we use our primary number. And so it's very effective from a sales side to use the primary number and from a marketing side to use your secondary number.
Yeah, we've loved seeing how people sort of diversify their communications using multiple numbers on the platform. And on the other side, we have team members. Rick has added his employees as team members to the Loggerhead account. From there, he's actually able to decide who has access to which phone number based on their role, and he can decide their role in the account as well. That way, team members only handle interactions that are specific to them, kind of share the load, as it were. Everyone on the Loggerhead team does have access to the primary toll-free number, I believe, but Rick chooses who has access to the local number. So Rick, will you talk to us a little bit about how having extra team members on the account has helped with your texting strategy?
Yeah, I mean, basically, you don't need everybody to see everybody's laundry, right? If we've got salespeople doing sales messages, does my bookkeeper who's trying to collect money from people that owe us, you know, for money they didn't pay us, she doesn't need to see all those messages that are coming from that other employee. So by segmenting, I mean, basically setting up these separate employee roles, they can kind of log in and see only the texts that really apply to them. And you don't get things kind of, you don't have to go hit a filter button and say, I want to filter this way or that way. You get a kind of a more efficient way of going about your business. So it's been, and I just gave two perfect examples of that. Our sales teams has a sales number and they use their role for sales. And then my bookkeeper, in the health club business, not everybody pays their dues every month. We have to reach out to people and tell them that we, had a decline on their card or something. And so she'll reach out to them using a different role, a different number for her to keep track of who she's reached out to and whether they've responded or not. So yes, it can be very effective if you've got a bunch of roles and a bunch of people on your team.
Definitely. Speaking of segmenting individuals, segments are really key for any business like gyms, but there's lots of other categories that benefit from it that would feature multiple programs or offerings. This sort of ties back to the point we made earlier about the most effective marketing being the type that reaches people over text with information they really want. Loggerhead, for example, offers a wide range of classes, services, programs to its members. So to make sure they only send texts their members are going to want to receive and open and read and respond to, the team segments its text to cater to member interests. Rick, I know these are really important to you, so tell us all about how you use segments.
Sure. So I learned a valuable lesson when I started using texting software, and we've gone through a few different platforms, and it's the same with any platform. If you just mass text everybody all the time about every little thing that happens, you're going to create what's called text fatigue, right? Where you're hitting people up with texts and they're like, I don't care about this. I don't want to know about this. Well, look, if it's an email you're doing, to unsubscribe from an email, what do you have to do? You have to scroll all the way down to the bottom of an email. You got to find the little teeny fine print that says unsubscribe. You got to click on it, maybe click another few. It's several mouse clicks to unsubscribe from the email. Most people know that. And if they're busy, they don't take the time to unsubscribe. They just delete the email. Well, texting, unfortunately, is a lot easier to opt out. Every single text message that gets sent actually has the verbiage that says, if you don't want any more text from us, type the word stop. That's that's industry-wide. It's a requirement. So what we found out early was we got to be careful. If we over-text people, we were getting an erosion of our texting database because everybody was typing stop, 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 stop. And it hurts, when you build a strong list and you get 1,000 people on your text list and you send out a mass text and you get 20 people say stop, that's not going to add up really well over time. So you have to start segmenting. We were sending out texts letting everybody know that a class on our fitness schedule was canceled. Well, not all our people take fitness classes. We actually know who takes our fitness classes. So we segment that. We create a special group in Simpletexting. And now when we have a canceled class, we only hit maybe 200 people with the text message instead of 1,200 people. So that's going to keep us from getting a lot of stop messages. Even further, I have different types of fitness classes. I have yoga, Zumba, group cycle, Pilates, silver sneakers, all these different types of classes. Well, if I have a group cycle class that has been changed or a new instructor or canceled, I don't need to hit up everybody who's not doing group cycle, who does fitness, such as the Zumba, the yoga. They don't need to know. So I can further segment by only sending out a text message to maybe 50 people saying, hey, we have a change today in our group cycle, no instructor, we have a sub or whatever. So really have to plan that way when you start building your texting database. It's really important. Otherwise, you will experience erosion in your database, and that's not going to help you long term.
Yeah, that is the really fabulous thing about segments. You can customize even the minutia. You've been able to customize based on your individual programs and people who frequent them. So that's really excellent. So we've talked a little bit about some of the features that Loggerhead uses, but we wanted to show you a couple of examples of text they've actually sent to their members. This one goes out to members who might be interested in attending the Sweat and Swagger dance party to let them know the details they'll need in order to participate. And this one here sends to members.
Lily, I want to jump in and point something out on these texts. It's really important. So if you read it, it says Group X. First of all, we're already, remember, it's coming from, this doesn't come from our switchboard number. Can't tell if that one did or not. Actually, that one did. But by putting something like a preamble, like the name of your business, or in this case, Group X, that's our fitness program, people might see that first word and go, okay, I better read this because now I recognize it. If they don't, they may not recognize where it's coming from. So it's important, less is more, and be able to have people recognize that it's coming from. The most important thing I want to point out is the short link. Yeah. Right? You see where it says learn more, https:// text. That's all part of your platform. But if you were to click on that, that would open up a very long URL address that would actually bring up the email that I created for this class. I created a very nice email with a lot of information on it. But remember, if you send out an email, you only get about a 30% open rate. So what I do is I actually am able to view emails through a browser. Almost every email platform allows you to look at an email through a browser, and they give you a link for that. I then create a short link in the text. And so what am I doing? I'm getting a whole bunch of people to actually open my email, but using texting as the channel of communication for that. So you're killing two birds with one stone. You're getting higher open rates on your email, plus you're texting people who just may prefer to get the information through their phone through texting. But this is super, we do this with almost every single email I send out. I'll follow it up with a text with a link to open up that email. So very, very important.
Yeah, definitely. And that sort of relates to this one. I know you've got a booking link here. This one sends to members who attend group cycle classes, and again, includes the easy sign up link. So do you find that these texts have a lot of impact on how people engage with these classes and programs, Rick?
Yes and no. I mean, it's situational. If it's something they care about, then it has an impact. If they don't care, I don't think it would matter what you use, email, texting, phone calling, talking to them in person. They don't care, they don't care. But again, because we segment and we go after the people that we think do care, we are seeing greater, I guess, participation, open rates, more people. Like this is a class that we're really trying to get people to come to. And when we send out a text, we find we get a few more bookings from it. That's important. That's an ROI. That's a good return on investment for sending out that text. Absolutely.
Right. Now, mass messaging, as the name suggests, these texts go out to large groups of members at once to let them know about important announcements or schedule changes. And I know, Rick, you've given us some examples of that. Is that something you think has been helpful to get hold of a lot of people at once in a way that they're actually going to see?
Yeah, I mean, a great example is we churn through members like every other fitness center, and we keep the information of a past member and we segment that. So I have a whole texting group of just past members, and occasionally we'll run a sale or do something and we'll hit up. We don't always send them out a text, but we will go after past members. And by sending out, for instance, this type of email, we could easily see a past member, all of a sudden the right time is there and they go, oh, this is $99. Yeah, I want to get back into training. I want to go back to the gym. And the next thing you know, they're buying it online or showing up. That is real ROI. That's bottom line revenue from a text that we sent out that didn't cost us hardly anything. So yeah, we need mass marketing to work that way for us.
Yeah. By contrast, of course, handling individual conversations through the inbox also allows for like a vital personal touch and customer interactions, which is the thing I know can do a lot for a brand's reputation. The team at Loggerhead uses two-way messaging to follow up with customers who have asked to receive more information or been to an introductory class. And I know we've heard from you, Rick, other examples of times when you do that. And that's something that you found effective, that your customers really like to have that sort of personal touch in your interactions.
100%. Look, everybody's texting now. I find myself texting more. I'm not always fond of it in terms of trying to stay organized because I lose track of things sometimes. The text just keeps pushing things down, right? But you do need to have personal contact with people as fast as possible, and they prefer sometimes not to talk to you on the phone, and the text is going to work. So one-on-one texting is critical. This is all, generally we would do this from our primary phone number so they recognize the number that it's coming from. But when you're doing sales, and you want to reach out to somebody and say, how was your visit at the gym? Or, hey, we saw that you signed up for a 1-week pass. Would you like to come in and set up an appointment? you can try to text someone and good chance they're going to respond back to you. Even though they may not recognize the caller ID, it's a text and they can reply back and go, okay, that's what they want. Whereas if I called them, they see that caller ID, they don't recognize it, they don't answer the phone. So having a personal channel, to do personal texting like this is super, super important. So yeah, I mean, it's got to be incorporated if you're doing this type of sales or selling these kinds of products and services.
Yeah, definitely. I can relate. I don't pick my phone up very often. Now that we've gone through some of the tools that Loggerhead uses and some examples, I want to zoom out and talk about the overall impact that texting and text marketing has had. So Rick, will you talk in a little more of a macro sense, how have you noticed positive change in the business since you started texting? And can you share with us a more general sense of whether it's made your communications easier, more effective?
Sure. Like and I am monitoring the chat, and I do see a couple questions, so I can get those to in a second.
Into those, yeah.
We knew we needed to have a texting platform. It was very, very clear over the last few years. We did our due diligence. I went with Simpletexting because of the ease of use and also the segmenting side of the business. That in and of itself is saving us a lot of time. Just segmenting, being able to reach out to people we want to reach out to. Number two, my salesperson needs a way to follow up quickly with people. That one-on-one texting is really important. Number three, on our website now, we don't just list our phone number. It doesn't say telephone and then list our number. It says telephone/text. We've changed all of our marketing literature so that our main switchboard number has the word text next to it too. So now we're getting people who are actually out of the blue just texting us, asking us questions. That never happened before. So that's really powerful. In terms of impact to the bottom line, I haven't totally measured every cent that's come in through a text that we've sent out that maybe drove in some sales, but it's been clear to me that it has worked, that the ROI is there, where other channels it's not so clear to me. That's important. So yeah, it's there. We have to do it. You have to do it. People are texting. This is how you got to communicate now.
Yeah, which of course we love to hear. Yeah, talk about the questions you're seeing. Yeah,
so in terms of opting into a text list, when you're in a health club, we have a contract. They sign a contract, right? You put the language in the contract that says, you by signing this agree to receive marketing, material, email, texting from us, simple stuff like that. You can ask people at the time. A lot of times that's all that's really needed is something written down on the agreement that they're signing. But, to be fair, you should tell people. Honestly, most people now who get a text from you or an email can opt out as long as you have those mechanisms in place. You're not breaking the law, and that's really important. So you don't want to ever send out an email without an unsubscribe or a text message without the proper language that says, stop to opt out. So it's not that hard. If you don't have an agreement for anybody to sign, or maybe it's a tablet, some people sign up with a tablet, you've got to ask people. And you need preferably something that they put their name to that agrees that they'll get texts and emails from you. If you don't, you're taking the chance that some people might get annoyed, but generally speaking, you don't want to break the law. You should try to ask people and get them to opt in. The other question was the QR code. Have you incorporated QR codes with Simpletexting in regards to any marketing? So there is a possibility to send images through Simpletexting, and I have to admit I don't do a lot of that because it will cost you more money. It's going to take up more bandwidth, more space. So I try to keep things text-based, literally. But I know you could send some images through. You could potentially send an image that would have a QR code on it, or you could have a link in the text that takes them to some sort of web page that has a QR code on it that they could click on. So there's lots of ways to incorporate QR codes. You just have to get creative with it.
I think people are way ahead of me because I was about to ask you all the things you're thinking about for the future in your text marketing strategy, but I know we've also talked about Opton methods you're eager to try. So can you talk to us about what's up next for Loggerhead and your texting strategy?
Yeah, initially when I first started using texting platforms 5-6 years ago, they were all short code texting platforms where you would type in type fitness to 64241, and then that would opt you in. And that was how people opted in. We did that for a while. It's not the easiest way to get people to opt in, but you need an option like that. I have gotten away from that, but now I need to get back into it. So we need to start sending out emails to people saying, look, if you want to opt into a specific texting group segment, whatever you want to call it, type, yoga to 561, 625, yeah. And so we can do that, and we should be doing that so we can even further segment and get very precision marketing done by having people using these short codes, keywords. So yeah, that's something we definitely want to get into. The other thing that I want to do more of is drip campaigns. So that when a new member joins, every third day they get a text from us introducing the new concept that we offer, whether it be personal training, small group training, fitness classes, recovery. We do stuff with massage therapists and so forth. So a new member doesn't know a lot about the gym, and we have too much information to tell them when they're standing here the first time. So what we will do is drip out to them over course of a week to 2 weeks through text and email information about the gym. And most likely they are not going to opt out because they'll understand that it's informational text. So we have to get more into that. And then finally, when we do outside marketing, whether it be Facebook ads, Instagram ads, or anything where there would be, let's say, a splash page, a form of some kind that somebody would fill out, especially with Facebook ads, you can, after they hit submit on the form, have it automatically send them a text right away saying, hey, thanks for filling out the form. If you want to schedule an appointment, click here. That can be texted to someone, and it can be all fully automated using something as simple as Zapier, I guess. It's a kind of a third party that connects different apps together. We've done it successfully already with our Facebook forms. Very powerful. It's because people are immediately, because that's the thing, you have to follow up fast when people fill out these forms. So those are all areas that we need to march further and deeper into. But we're getting there little by little.
Yeah, that's exciting though. Knowing that you have some plans for the future and new tools you want to experiment with. I think that's half the fun, honestly. So now that we've talked a little bit about how Loggerhead uses SMS within their team, I want to cover the tools that you can use in your own SMS strategy. And within that, I want to talk a little bit more about multi-number and team member options for your account. I've actually got a quick demo here for each of these tools, starting with adding additional numbers to your account. This will go fast, but you can see it is a super simple process to follow through your account. I know the video is sort of flying by, so don't worry. We have lots of detailed demos available on our site and in the Help Center. But yeah, you start out in settings and numbers, and you just follow the buttons. The only thing to note here is that if you are choosing a local number like we did in the video, you'll need to provide some information about your business and the kind of text you plan to send as you go through the process. And once our team approves the number, you'll be able to easily toggle between them as Rick does from your home screen. You can also invite new team members right from your account. Again, you're just headed to settings and following the buttons through to the end. Basically, this process just consists of adding your team member's email address, specifying their role in the account, adjusting which contact lists and phone numbers they can access, and then sending the invitation. And as soon as your new team member approves that invitation, they'll show up on your account. And it is as easy as that. I know I've given you lots of information today, and so has Rick, but now it's your turn to take these tools and these strategies that we've given you and make them work in your business. If you're not quite sure how to get started, you can try out Simpletexting for 14 days, totally free, no credit card required. And if you have questions, our brilliant support team is always standing by. You can email them at support@simpletexting.net for help anytime. I want to thank you all for joining us, really, and thank you again, Rick, for your time and your insight and everything you've shared with us.
You're absolutely welcome. And I did see one other question I should address real quick.
Yeah,
so someone said, can you send out evacuation warnings through text? And that's a big important thing to, especially hurricanes down here. We got to be able to reach people and say, we're closed or don't come to the gym. So yes, you want to use texting for public service announcements, but remember, if you over text, people will hit stop and they won't even get that announcement. So it is very powerful for those types of instances. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's one of the moments when I know mass texts are really, really important to a lot of people for things like that. But yeah, thank you. And thank you not only for joining us, but for engaging and asking questions. And I hope everybody has a fantastic rest of the day and the week. And stay tuned for the Q&A document that we will send following this webinar.